You're listening to Straight from the Hat with Ben Vaughn.
Every day starts with a broken heart. I must be too sensitive for this world. Well, I know it ain't right to cry every night. I must be too sensitive for this world.
He's had a career filled with twists and turns as a performer, songwriter, composer for film and TV, and record producer. For Ben Vaughn, the best part of the journey has been the colorful characters he's encountered along the way. His friend Laura Pocatello, who works for Sun Records in Nashville, wrote the names of those characters down and placed them in a hat. Each episode, she'll select names at random and let Ben relive the stories. No pre-planning, no filter, just telling it like it was, straight from the hat.
Hello, Ben.
Hello, Laura.
So something that I've been thinking about as we've been having all of these conversations, because I forget this, because we talk as if we have a very similar, and in some ways we do, understanding of all of this music, but a lot of this music you experienced in real time and I experienced decades later after it came out.
That is true. I was actually alive when Interviews by Sonny Bono was released.
Where were you when the world stopped turning, basically?
I remember exactly where I was, and I was alive, and you weren't yet, which is
No.
Yeah. It's really.
I was not. I actually sought that music out later on purpose, which is far more concerning than it just being part of the culture of the time.
Yeah, that's just proof that this music feels alive all the time. It doesn't matter how many years have gone by or whether you have firsthand experience or you're discovering it right now. Great music is great music. But enough about Sonny Bono. What's in the hat?
It's not going to be Sonny Bono, but he might come up in the story. He often does. Let's see who it's going to be. I'm in the hat here, reaching around. These are all just little slips of paper, so I don't know what's coming up next. Attila.
Attila, an album that came out in 1970, Billy Joel and a drummer, like Hammond organ through a bunch of like fuzz boxes or something, and a drummer, and you have to see the album cover to really appreciate this record, and it is really heavy, and it's like it's probably the worst hard rock record I ever released, I think, and Billy Joel would agree with me on that. I think he's tried to bury this over the years, but the first time I was exposed to Attila, 1970, I volunteered at this underground newspaper called The Plain Dealer, and they were a real Marxist. Actually, they argued with each other within the editorial pages of that. They were Marxists versus Maoists versus Trotskyites and all that.
Oh, so they were in the trenches.
Oh, they were in the trenches of the underground, and it was 1970, so the draft was still happening, Vietnam was still happening, the Chicago 7 trial was still going on, so it was really on, and I was completely into it. And I went down to their office in the summer of 1970, and I volunteered. I said, "Whatever you need me to do, I want to be part of this." They were in Philly, and they said, "Well, how about delivering the paper?" So I had to deliver stacks of these papers to head shops and record stores and bookstores, all the cool places in Center City, Philly, and I got a chance to hang out at all these places. And there was a place called the 13th Street Conspiracy, which is now a nail salon, of course.
Of course.
Which makes me, now that I think about it, I think no matter what's going on with the economy, have you ever noticed that nail salons never close?
They never do.
Yeah. They can survive anything. It's amazing. A place called Ward's Folly, Paraphernalia. There was a record store called Hassle Records, which I always thought should have been called No Hassle, really, and I would hang around, and they would play records. I would hear a lot of music in these places because they were really up on the latest thing, and they were older than me. All these people are probably 5 years older than me. and they're wearing velour pants, American flag shirts and all that. I was younger than everybody, but they thought I was amusing. And matter of fact, one time there were these two hippie girls who tried to talk me into going to Cuba with them to cut sugarcane for something called the Venceremos Brigade, which was a bunch of American sympathizers with Castro. And somehow they were trying to tell me it was also supportive of the North Vietnamese. I didn't understand it, but they tried to get me to run away with them and go to Cuba and cut sugarcane for that summer, which I declined to do. And I still, to this day, wonder what happened to those two girls, because they were probably...
That's a real butterfly effect for you, Ben. You could have been... Who knows what would have happened if you would have said yes.
Yeah, I know. And I wonder what happened to them.
Yeah.
They were probably only 18 years old. But there was a lot of great records that came out that year that I would hear in these places, like Funhouse by the Stooges or Back in the USA by the MC5, Mountain, Mississippi Queen, or the first Black Sabbath album, which I made the mistake of listening to the first time I ever took acid.
Oh.
And it was my first experience meeting the devil face to face.
That'll do it.
Yeah. And so there's a lot of really cool records. And the belief at the time was that you had to listen to this heavy music or you weren't part of the revolution, right? And everything that came before it is dead. It's like what they call it, a 0 hour or whatever they call that. Like when punk rock showed up, you weren't allowed to even admit that you
look back. Like no looking back. It's
right.
only this stuff now. Yeah.
Yeah. Life starts now. I remember one guy, was really crazy about doo-wop and stuff. That didn't end because, I was in love with the hippie dream. I was really in love with the activism and the excitement about it, and the style of it was really cool. But I still really dug old music, and I remember this one guy pulling me aside and told me that I can't listen to Chuck Berry anymore because he doesn't drop acid. I should only listen to people who turn on, quote unquote, turn on. That's how dogmatic it was, This one guy, I forget which head shop it was, but he goes, "Hey man, check this out," and he pulls out the Attila record, and it's got this crazy cover. I think they're wearing furs and horns on their head or something. I have to look at it again, but
I have it. They're wearing some sort of, it's like a suit of armor situation. Surrounded by, they're kind of in like a cave. It looks ridiculous, really. Yeah,
they're probably drinking grogs of mead between songs. Yeah. It's like really
exactly.
And you have to hear this record. It's like if you can get past one song, I commend you. And I also think you might want to seek help. But this guy puts it on with this big build up. Check this out, man. And, if you dig whatever, I don't know what he was described, and then he says, check it out, and he put it on. And I was like, I knew right away that this was not good music. And I'm a 15-year-old kid, and the guy's like 21. He had like one of those walrus mustaches, and he was the expert on everything, And I said, I said, permission to speak? And he goes, yeah, man, rap on. And I go, okay, this blows. He goes, what? And I go, this is the worst thing I've ever fucking heard in my life. And I pretty much got banished from the store after that. It was like, it's really great. Anyone listening out there, I hope this encourages you, because we all know, no matter how young we are, we know certain things suck. We just know it.
Trust your intuition, yes. So when you hear the bad, I guess, hard rock album from Billy Joel, I'm reading this about it now, and it says Joel himself has described the album as, quote, psychedelic bullshit.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that sums it up.
Yeah, he knew what he was doing. But because that's exactly what they put out. And there was a lot of that going on. I mean, there's so much hard rock. There's a great series out now called Brown Acid that collects all this private pressing hard rock stuff that is just unbelievable. And some of it's really good and cool, but a lot of it is just, whoa. I mean, just really like an ill-advised idea.
It's like what happens when Attila arrived in like Youngstown, Ohio or something.
Yeah, and all of those records in the 60s, all the songs were about girl, They would say, hey, girl this and girl that. And then all of a sudden, when they got bigger amplifiers and larger drum kits, the word woman showed up. Like, woman!
Oh.
And every one of them, my woman! And they're all these guys with too much chest hair singing about women, just super, super loud. And Attila, to me, was the kind of the ultimate version of that. And I just see it in my life, and this is why I'm hoping it relates to other people. I just knew, I was only 15. I didn't have much of an education in music or anything, but man, I knew it. I knew it, and I'm proud of myself that I voiced it too at that time. But I was banished from the underground counterculture kingdom pretty much, at least that one store. I remember.
That's what did it.
Yeah, they weren't enthusiastic about me coming in as much.
As you know, I have the hat here. It's full of names. I'm so interested to see which one comes up next. Do you have any guesses?
Oh, man, it could be anything. You got a lot of them in there, so let it rip. And hopefully I will recognize the name.
Let's hope. Oh, this one isn't even a name. This is a show, Third Rock from the Sun.
Whoa, Third Rock. That is wow. Third Rock gave me a Hollywood chapter to my career, which I never expected to happen. I guess it was 1994. I was completely broke, and my career as an alternative recording artist was kind of cold. So I was looking around for other things to do, and while that was happening, I put an album out on Bar None Records called Mono USA, which was all cover tunes, recorded in mono, and 4 of them were surf instrumentals. And a music supervisor in Hollywood heard that record, and she contacted Glenn Morrow, who owned the company, and said, I'm working on a movie right now called Pulp Fiction, and this whole surf thing is going to go huge. You got to send this guy over to me. We need a conversation. So I talked to her, and she told me that I should move out to L.A., and I couldn't do it.
Because you were in Jersey at the time, right?
Yeah, I was living in New Jersey. I was looking for something else to do because it looked like my career as an artist might be cold forever. I had no idea. There's no way to know in the business what's going to happen,
But it dried up for the time being, it seemed.
Yeah, for the time being, what I was selling, they weren't buying, and it's good to recognize that in life, and look around. I may have some other talents, and one of them was instrumental music. I was a fanatic about instrumental music, and I learned how to play surf guitar when I was young, even though it was the most unpopular thing you could do in 1970.
You bravely did it, though.
I did. I was in love with it, and I just kept working at it and trying to learn how to play that way and write music that way. But it was sort of like speaking Latin. Not just reading Latin, but speaking it. It was a
dead language.
It was a dead language, and I was fluent in it, which had no worth in the marketplace until Pulp Fiction. And then all of a sudden, I had the coin of the realm, right in my hands. And this music supervisor recognized this, and she, her name was Carol Sue Baker, a real visionary. She was a music supervisor who was being tapped to provide music for Pulp Fiction. She told me I should move out to L.A., and she could get me a lot of work as a composer. But I didn't have any money, so I couldn't go out right away. But what happened is one of my songs became a Swatch commercial in Europe. And it happened because I used to tour in Italy all the time, and there was this one fanatic who came to every show, a young guy. He was really, really fanatical and probably annoying as I look back. But he came to every show, and he would go from town to town to see me play. He ended up getting a job at an ad agency in Milan, and he pitched one of my songs for this Swatch commercial, and they said yes, and all of a sudden I had operating capital. The money.
Yeah, a Swatch sync is not annoying, even if the guy was. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was for Europe only. It was never seen here in America, but the money that came in from that gave me operating capital to go out to L.A. So I flew out to L.A. to meet with Carol Sue Baker, and she took me around to meet all of these music editors and music supervisors and directors and everything, and she took me to a private screening of Pulp Fiction. I was the only one in the theater at the ICM building. It hadn't come out yet. And when I saw it and I heard Mr. Lou in the beginning of that movie, I realized she's right. This is going to be huge. This is going to be huge. So I loaded up my Rambler with a guitar and just a bag of clothes and a boombox, and I drove from New Jersey. I left, and I think it was the day after New Year's Eve, and I drove cross country. I landed
the day after New Year's Eve, so you mean New Year's Day?
Yeah, exactly.
That day?
That's how I see it, okay?
Okay, got it. New Year's Eve is the bigger holiday for you. January 1, who cares?
Yeah. Anyway, I get to L.A., and immediately she starts getting me work as a session guitar player. And so I played on a lot of soundtracks for films that every now and then at 3 a.m. on cable TV or wherever a movie will come on, and I'll realize, I think that's actually me on guitar. Because what happened was when Pulp Fiction came out, all of these composers who had finished scores, either synth or orchestral scores, were getting their work thrown out because everyone immediately wanted that Tarantino thing.
They're like, start over. We need Dick Dale now.
Right. And so I got hired to go in and replace a lot of cues and a lot of soundtracks, or play right on top of their stuff. Like, it would take a French horn off and say, play that, with surf guitar instead. Because they were scrambling.
Swap it out.
Well, it's a really insecure business. Imitation is the sincerest form of Hollywood. It's like when one thing clicks, everybody wants a piece of that and they want to resemble that. And I was not welcome when I showed up at these sessions because these guys had worked really hard on these scores and they were signed off on. And then overnight, they were obsolete because of Quentin Tarantino. And here I come in. I don't even read music, so they really hated me. So they're
like, we found this New Jersey freak. He's ready to go. Yeah,
I would just plug my guitar into a Fender Deluxe amp, turn the reverb on 10, and play over their scores and get paid. And they were like, it was an interesting time. Everyone was trying to be edgy all of a sudden. And the irony is, somebody once said to me, we're looking for something modern, like Mr. Lou. And I was like, do you realize? I think I think it's 1961 or somewhere around there that record came
I was going to say 62. That'd be a solid couple decades before then, though.
Yeah. We need something edgy and new like Mr. Lou. So I was the guy for a while there, and word got out that I was in town, and Chris Doritas had like the hottest radio show in L.A. at that point. It was called Morning Becomes Eclectic. And he broke Beck, I think. Beck got signed because of an appearance on there, and everyone listened to him.
And it's on KCRW, right?
On KCRW, yeah. Every music supervisor and directors and everybody listened to him. And I knew Chris from my touring days because every time I played Dallas, he was on the air down there, and I would go on his show and promote my gig. So we knew each other, and he found out that I was in town, and he invited me to come on and promote my new record, which was a record called Instrumental Stylings, which I recorded right before I left New Jersey. And it's kind of a reel for everyone to hear, but it's a record and a composer reel combined. That's what I decided to do. And it really worked for me. It turned out to be a good choice. And he had me on, and he asked me on the air why I moved to LA, and I said, I moved here to do music for TV or film. So if there's anyone out there, call the station. And the phone rang. And Karen Mandebach, the president of Carsey Warner Productions, got on the phone and told me that she had a pilot, that her company had a pilot, and that I might be the perfect composer for that pilot. So write down this address and come up here to the CBS Radford lot in Studio City. So when I got off the air, I drove up there, and my name was at the gate. The guy actually gave me a pass and said, park right over there. So I'm like, whoa, I'm on a studio lot.
Right this way, yeah.
Yeah. It's a big deal. When you're from New Jersey, you feel like you're trespassing everywhere you go, basically.
Sure. You don't belong anywhere.
Even in your own house, you're like, am I allowed to be here?
Are they coming for me?
We're kind of a beaten down species, And so I got in, and then I parked my car, and I walked by the Seinfeld soundstage, and there's the guy that played Kramer hanging out there. And I'm like, whoa, this is real. It's starting to dawn on me that this is really real. This is not...
Like, this is where it happens.
Yeah, and it's not some fly-by-night company that has a project or anything, that this might be legit. And I go in for the meeting, and I park my car right in front of this bungalow, and I go in for the meeting. And I meet everyone, Bonnie and Terry Turner, who were writers for Saturday Night Live for years, and they did the Coneheads movie, and they wrote the Brady Bunch movie, which is brilliant. That's a brilliant take on the Brady Bunch.
I love that movie.
It's so great that they're like a cult compound, and outside it's hip hop and crime and drugs and grunge music, but in their house it's not happening. It's
so funny.
It's a beautiful idea. So I met them. I didn't know any of that when I met them, though. I didn't know their background because not only could I not Google them yet, this is 1995, but I also just jumped in my car and raced up to that address. And so they say, we're going to show you the pilot. It stars John Lithgow and Jane Curtin. And I'm like, whoa, okay, this is legit. John Lithgow is doing a sitcom? Wow, that's pretty big news. I mean, this is a Tony Award-winning Broadway actor,
Yeah, absolutely.
So I figured if he's doing this, I'm probably going to want to do this. And so they show me the pilot, and in the very first scene, the aliens, the show is about aliens coming down and posing as humans in Rutherford, Ohio. And in the first scene, they're in a Rambler. So I stood up and I said, pause the tape, come over here and look out the window. And they looked out the window and said, that's my car. I'm driving a Rambler. And Bonnie Turner said, you got the gig. So that's how I got the gig. And but what they said was, what we want is classic American rock and roll as if played by aliens. And we think that's what you're already doing. So we really want you. They're
like, we have a sense you might have some background in this.
Yeah, and at that moment I thought I better be honest with them. So I told them I don't own a TV and I haven't watched TV in probably about 15 years. And they were like, perfect. That's even better. You're in.
That's the alien part, yeah.
Yeah. And so I got the gig. And the great thing about it was they encouraged me to be as weird as I wanted. So my first experience with being a TV composer couldn't have been with better people because they were not from the world of sitcoms. Bonnie and Terry Turner were from Saturday Night Live, which is vastly different.
Yeah.
And they co-wrote all of the Mike Myers, what's the other guy's name?
I don't know. I'm sorry.
The Wayne's World dudes,
What is that guy's name?
Garth.
Yeah, I think Garth.
I think his name is Garth. Anyway.
I can picture him. Yeah. I can see his face.
Yeah, I know who he is. They co-wrote everything with Mike Myers and that other guy, Garth. So they're responsible for Wayne's World and a bunch of other really, really, really funny bits. They actually...
Again, no small stuff either. Like, those are still really big deals.
Yeah, so they weren't in the world of sitcoms with all the rules about how music is used. So what they did is they hired this company in London to create these graphics of planets jumping around and everything. And they gave me those. They were like 3-second interstitials, they called them. They gave me a whole reel of that stuff and said, add music to those. Do your thing. Be yourself. And then it was time for a theme. So we had a meeting, and at the meeting, I still have the notes. I have a notebook, a page from a notebook, where we discussed what we were going to do. And they wanted classic rock and roll, and they wanted it to kind of derail at a certain point. So it's weird. So I suggested Back in the USA by Chuck Berry as the basis. Oh, yeah. And then have a melody on top of that, which is really kind of like The Beat Goes On by Sonny and Cher. I realize now where I got it. At the time,
you were channeling Sonny without knowing it.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. It's not a conscious thing. It's just there underneath.
Just part of you.
Always. Yeah. And then I had the part in the middle where everything goes out of key for about 2 bars and then comes back in. And they loved it. I recorded a demo on a 4-track cassette deck that my neighbor had. I borrowed it from him, and the belt was broken on it. So I just replaced that with a rubber band because I was broke. I mean, I had some money, some operating capital, but I was still assuming that I was poor because this may not...
Yeah, and you didn't have repair a cassette deck money. That's different.
No, and I didn't know if this show was going to go on the air. It was a pilot, so I wasn't, picking out a Cadillac or anything like that, So I replaced the belt with a rubber band, which is a bad idea. If you Google it, they'll tell you to never do that because you're going to get pitch inconsistency. So I recorded this demo, a wobbly demo, and I handed it in, and they went nuts over it. So I was given money to book a real session. And I booked it at Mark Linnett's studio. Mark Linnett is a pretty famous engineer. He was a staff engineer for Warner Brothers for a long time, and also did all of the Beach Boys remixes, all those box sets. That's him.
Oh, wow.
He's the guy, And he was an engineer on Love and Mercy and all the Brian stuff.
Nice.
So I went to his studio, and I got Andy Paley to play drums, who, if the listeners Google him, they're going to love what he's worked on. A really great guy.
Yeah, he went on to have a career in television, that's for sure.
He did, yeah. And so he played drums, and I played everything else except for piano, and I forget the piano. I think it was a guy from the Union book. I just called him and had him come in. So I booked all that, and then I got into a car accident and broke my hand. And
oh, no.
Yeah, I broke my hand, and I had it in a cast, and I hired another guitar player to play, and I handed it in to the show, and they said, the guitar playing isn't funny. You're a funny guitar player. And I'm like, well, how can I be a funny guitar player? And they said, you don't know that about yourself? And I was like, no. And they're like,
they're like, be yourself, by the way, it's funny. And you're like, oh, okay.
Yes.
Which one is
it?
Yeah.
They said, this guy, the guitar has no sense of humor. Go back and do it yourself. So I had to wait until my hand was ready. And the day I recorded that guitar, I had just taken a cast off. So I had severe atrophy. And I had to stop about every 2 or 3 bars and take a break. So that whole theme is punched in. There's so many punch-ins on my guitar part on that, and it's got that. I couldn't even do that in one pass. That's half, and then I had to stop it in the second half.
Whoa.
Yeah. So every time I hear that theme, I'm like, ooh,
You get phantom pains.
I do. I actually do. And we got through it, and I remember Andy Paley was great because I was like, man, I don't know if I can do this. You can do it. You got to do it. Come on, kid. And so that recording became the theme. And the show went on the air in 1996. It was a mid-season replacement, and we were really lucky because when it went on the air, it went on in January of 1996 during what they called the Great North American Blizzard of 1996. The entire East Coast was shut down, so everyone stayed home and watched TV. So everybody was stuck in their houses, and we were the only new show debuting that week. So we got, I think it was 23 million people, I'm pretty sure that's the number, saw that episode, which is, I guess...
That's absurd. Like, that's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people, and it's the kind of thing where I could make 100,000 records. I could be on stage every night and still never reach 23 million people, and it happened in one night, right? My music was heard by that many people in one night. It's
just a whole different scale, yeah.
Yeah, it's mainstream success, and the show was a hit, immediately a hit. So I had a hit show, and was being courted by all of these agencies. I went around with Carol Sue Baker, and I met with CAA, and they really wanted me to be on their roster and creative artist agency. So I was into it, and Carol Sue said, "I'm gonna set you off on your own because they can take care of you, and I have my music supervision business that I'm focused on, and have a ball." So I ended up being represented by CAA, which is a pretty big deal. And all this happened really, really fast, but I did not upgrade my musical equipment yet. I was
Give it time.
I recorded the theme and a bunch of cues based on the theme with the band and Mark Lynette and Andy Paley, and then the rest I did in my apartment with that 4-track deck. So the first season or two of Third Rock, there are a lot of cues that are wobbly. You might need Dramamine to listen to them, because that rubber band was still on there. And that just showed how outside of network television professionalism I was.
Well, I mean, you didn't really even know what to expect, because I feel like if it all happened so quickly and it's not like this was necessarily your goal, you know what I mean? You wouldn't really even know. And then I guess if you're working with a company that's less structured, like you're saying, they're not so used to the sitcom world. It's kind of like you went in through this back door and then it became a hit.
Yeah, and the creators loved everything that was odd about me. It was awesome. And I found out from, I started meeting other composers, and they were like, man, you are working on the best show to work on. It's a big, happy family over there, which is never the case with television production. I started going to all the tapings because I liked all the people, I liked all the writers. The writers were hilarious. I would hang out in the writer's room, and I got a real good look at how everything is done, everything from the carpenters to the electricians to the wardrobe people, set design, everything. I saw the whole thing, like you would build up an entire set for one episode and then strike it and it was amazing. Being at the table reads when they read the scripts for the first time. And they wanted me to be around. Bonnie and Terry really liked having a music guy around all the time. And so I got a chance to really see how all of this stuff is done. It was really cool.
Because I guess if you're more immersed in the process, it probably makes the whole end product better too, because you're seeing it all the way through.
Yeah. And I guess their background with Saturday Night Live is, it's a troupe of people, and you want everybody around. So it was really cool. The show went on the air and became a hit, and I ended up getting a BMI Composer Award for that theme, and I had to rent a tux and go to this big thing at the Beverly Hills Hotel. And I met Mike Post, and he invited me to a Rockford Files TV movie shoot.
Which is your dream.
My
That
dream.
Yeah.
My dream. Mike Post wrote the theme, and he was scoring the next one that was coming out, and he got me a pass to go to Paradise Cove in Malibu, where Jim's trailer is in the show, and the restaurant next to the trailer, I forget what it was called, the Sand Castle or something like that. And I got to meet James Garner, and it was really funny.
That's huge.
Yeah, it was really interesting because he's one of those guys. His persona, you don't think he's an actor. You think he's just Jim Rockford. Right? I mean, he's so successful at being Jim Rockford. And when I met him, I told him how much I loved the show and everything, and he was serious. And he said, well, I'm really glad you like the work. And I was like, like the work? What are you, Stella Adler or, Lee Strasberg? The work? What the hell?
He's a thespian. It's not.
Yeah, he said, and I remember looking at him like, you're an actor? And I might have even shown disappointment. I don't know. I was shocked,
He's an actor, and it's his job. You were learning that all in that moment. That's so funny.
Yeah. I really fell for it, But Stuart Margolin, the guy who played Angel, did not disappoint. I hung out with him. He was directing that episode, and he was really funny. So I got what I needed, not from James Garner, but Stuart Margolin totally delivered. But I remember there was some downtime, and there was a golf cart there, and James Garner got in the golf cart and started pretending he was going to run people down in the parking lot. That was pretty funny. And he was really going at him as fast as that thing would go, and then just turning right before he hit people. And I remember
he was method acting. He's like, what if I had to run someone over with the golf cart? Let's try it.
Yeah, and Rita Moreno was there in that episode, and Hal Linden, and he almost killed Hal Linden. That would have been a great story. Hal Linden killed by James Garner in a golf cart. It was,
After that, that's kind of the whole Hollywood experience for you. You could have just packed up and went back to Jersey if you got to be on the Rockford set.
Well, I kept thinking that all of this was going to end overnight,
Yeah. I mean, because it started overnight.
It started overnight, and also I just, my background is enjoy things while you can because they're probably going to go away,
Sure, yeah.
And so having a hit show, I didn't trust that we were going to get a second season. I didn't trust we were going to get picked up for a third, even though we were hot. I just, it's just a poverty mindset, that you have if you've grown up with very few opportunities coming your way that really, really pay off for real,
Especially if one's too good to be true, that means that it's definitely not sticking around.
Yeah. So we finished that first season, and then I got hired to do some pilots. And I did Men Behaving Badly, which is a show that they gave me after I did the music, and that was a season and a half, and that was the total opposite of Third Rock from the Sun. That was a sitcom being made with veteran sitcom people with all of the problems. So that was my first taste of how it really goes, and I started to understand why other composers were telling me I was so lucky with Third Rock, because it was a troubled show, and it was not that much fun to work on. But I did decide that I can't do everything in my apartment with a cassette deck. I'm going to have to hire professionals, and the money started coming in finally. But the funniest moment for me was when Third Rock was up for an Emmy. And so the Emmy Awards Orchestra had to learn how to play the Third Rock theme. So I hired a guy to write a lead sheet and get it over to him. And I remember the lead sheet said, swinging eighth notes. And I was thinking, wow, I think every record I like probably has swinging eighth notes in it.
I guess that's the term for it.
Yeah, it was a funny way of describing rockabilly, basically, or whatever it is. But it was a real kick because they won, and then they hit, and they got on stage, and the orchestra was playing my theme. That was pretty cool. But the show was a hit in America, but also around the world. And I was in Spain. I went over to play a few shows, and I turned the TV on in my motel room, and Third Rock was on dubbed into Spanish. It was really, really, it was really great.
Third Rock en Espanol.
Yes. But I was now a Hollywood guy, which was really amusing to me. So I hung on to the apartment and stayed to see what else would come next. But I ended up doing probably 12 years in Hollywood as a composer.
All because of one phone call on the radio, too.
Yes. One call on the radio. A Cinderella story, I guess. Except that, midnight never came.
You still got both your shoes.
I do.
Well, it's that time again for a musical interlude to end the show.
All right, I'm ready.
We are headed to the song hat this time, the companion to the name hat, to see what we're going to hear next. Let's pull a song out. Oh, this is a lovely one. I love this song. Jerry Lewis in France.
Jerry Lewis in France. A lot of people think this is a funny song, but it's actually a love song about feeling appreciated by the person you love, like really appreciated. Like Jerry Lewis was considered a genius in France. And it just felt like a natural way to go. And it's a weird door in to an authentic love song, but that's the way it went when I wrote this. And it was actually played on Bob Dylan's radio show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he introduced it. And it was really weird, too, because he gave like a resume of my work, like Ben Vaughn was a composer for Third Rock from the Sun and that 70s show. And
that's a pretty good Bob.
Thank you.
I gotta hand it to you.
Yeah, that's the current Bob voice. The old Bob voice, wouldn't you? That one, I perfected in high school. I did a Bob Dylan imitation in high school, and I had a friend named Bob West who also did a Bob Dylan impersonation, and we would pass each other in the hall, and I would say, Bob West, and he would say, Ben Vaughn, and we'd laugh, and then I heard Bob Dylan say my name, Ben Vaughn. I was like, holy shit, he sounds like Bob West. So Dylan is a great Bob West imitator. Few people know that. But anyway, here's the song. I'm going to do a little bit slower than usual. And here we go. Jerry Lewis and Friends. I feel like Jerry Lewis and Friends when you hold me tight. You make me wanna make you proud of me, baby. You make me wanna make the wrong things right. I feel like number one when you're walking by my side. You make me wanna make you proud of me, baby. You make me wanna make you proud of me, baby. It's a feeling I've been holding back. It's a feeling I've been holding back. I feel like Jerry Lewis and Friends when you hold me in your arms. I feel like I got Phil Spector's bodyguards on either side just to keep me from harm. I feel like JFK in 62. The trumpets play Camelot when I'm with you. Yes, they do. I feel like Jerry Lewis and Friends. I feel like Jerry Lewis and Friends. I feel like Jerry Lewis, Jerry Lewis, Jerry Lewis and Friends. It's a feeling I've been holding back. It's a feeling I've been holding back. Can't hold it back no more. Oh no.
You have just enjoyed another installment of Straight from the Hat with Ben Vaughn. To learn more about the names drawn from the hat for this episode, please visit straightfromthehat.com. Don't forget to tell a friend about this podcast. And please, subscribe to the show on your podcast platform of choice.